Alright, so it rained this morning like really hard, and that kept us at bay with our packing a little bit. It took me a little while to get out the door, and then I left my wallet in Casey's truck, so things have been a little bit discombobulated, but since then we've been cooking down the road. We're somewhere out in the middle of Kansas headed west, and when we turn north, we are almost headed directly at our objective for the night, which is Jack and I are going to sit on a couple of knobs overlooking several different pivots and fields with what looks to be different types of ag. So we're looking for beans and alfalfa, and if we can find those, we are going to put some glass on it and hopefully find a bachelor group of bucks with a decent few in it, and start making a game plan, marking them on the Onyx and making it happen. It's getting late. The reason we're not out there yet is because we've been trying to find water. I left the water this morning, and somehow on all the stops on the way up here, we didn't get a bunch of waters, a pack of waters. So I've got ice from my ice chest, and we're out here just eating ice because it's 95 degrees in Nebraska on August 30th, and we have to walk 3/4 of a mile to go scout. It was a pretty warm walk in, but we got us a good vantage point here. One of the key things that I wanted to do was locate and figure out which ag was going to be stuff that we feed on. So for instance, pretty much beans and alfalfa was what I was looking for. The corn, they'll be in it, but you can't see them, so it's kind of pointless, unless you get a glimpse of them going into it somehow. So we've got beans here in front of us, another bean field here. And then we've got what looks like a bean field way over here on another piece of private that we can't hunt. And there's about 6 mule deer does out in it right now. So the thing is, mule deer are a little less skittish than whitetails in a lot of their cross range. And so maybe that means the whitetails just haven't made it out yet, but we haven't seen any other deer out here yet. And I was pretty surprised, but we've still got probably 45 minutes of glass and light or so, 30, 45 minutes. So we're gonna see if they wanna work for us tonight. Probably should go over there and look. When the alarm first went off this morning, I thought, I don't know if I could do a whole season of this again. I felt pretty terrible, but I feel pretty good now. I got like kind of a cold shower, and feel all right. It actually is probably in the 60s. It feels really great. We had a cold front come through. Wind was whipping when we got here last night, and we had a quick turnaround. It's about 4:30. We're gonna go out and get ahead of the game, try to find some deer before they get back to bed today. And I think they're going to be moving around quite a bit with this cold weather, so hopefully that will help us. It was pretty slim last night, so hoping that we can check a few ag fields with fingers coming around to the side of them, canyons and stuff like that, and hopefully there will be deer in those ag fields that will give us an idea of what we should do this evening when we're going back out to scout. That's when we really fine tune it, because the evenings around here are probably the best times to make it happen. Heading somewhere else. The deer are not really around here from what we can tell. If they are, they're in the corn. So we're packing the truck back up, and we're going to go on down the road and see if we can find some deer. Maybe more towards where I was last year. I don't know. We'll see. Trying to see what we can get into pretty much, but.
You're looking at Onyx. Are you on Onyx right now?
I am.
Okay. You see that little shack thing?
Um,
On the private?
on the private,
Yeah.
is it? Oh yeah, near the beans you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Got her mouth. All right, afternoon of opening day. We have a plan, and it's kind of an observation sit, but it's got killing potential. There are some trails, it looks like, if you look at a good aerial. We actually would prefer to hunt a bean field, but we just don't have the wind to do it tonight. So we may get aggressive if we keep this wind in the morning and we don't kill, and go over there and hunt those beans in the morning. Hunt deer coming back to bedding. So anyway, I'm excited because it's opening day. It's the first hunt of the year. It's September 1, and we're heading out right now to hunt the afternoon after really kind of struggling the last few days to find deer. But I feel good about our chances tonight, so let's do this. Tried to hang in one tree, it just wasn't working. The tree was too big, so now we're in this tree, which also happens to be really big at the base, but luckily it splits. We're able to get up, but anyway, we're set up next to a spreader dam, like right here. That's got trails going around both sides of it. There's a lot of beds in this stuff, which is like tumbleweed type stuff, and it looks like there's a ton of browse on the edge of the corn right here. So what we're looking for is like a 20-25 yard shot down the edge of the corn here before the deer gets to our wind, or something coming around the edge of the spreader dam, coming up to the corn to eat. So we've got some view and stuff back here. The view's not quite as good as I wanted it to be, but I think that we're going to still be able to see the alfalfa or the bean field over here. So as long as we can see that pretty good and what's going in and out of that and where they're going, I think we can make plays tomorrow. So it's a conservative approach, but we are in the heart of the property, and I think we stand a good chance of killing a deer too. So I'm excited. Opening day. Let's go. I would have never thought, after last year in Nebraska, that I would come to Nebraska and 3 days later just struggle as much as we have. The only deer we've seen today was at noon while we were walking around, and it was walking around too. Just crazy. We're looking over a lot of country right now that's really good. Lots of corn, beans, big draw, cottonwoods, tons of brush, hasn't been grazed. Great property. But we haven't seen anything all afternoon. So it's getting dark, and if we don't see anything else, we're gonna have to get back to the hotel and figure out something. So with that said, I guess if we do see something else, I'll try to show you a video of it. We may have figured something out this morning. We had a doe bed here early. We had one come behind us at about 25 yards here. And then about 8 o'clock, a good buck came down a trail right next to the creek. And we're thinking it might be the buck we saw last night on this hill. We're gonna take a quick little look over the hill right here before we go. Try to make some assumptions, and we may come back in here tonight and hopefully stand a good chance. So right now, we're gonna go over there when we get down, check it out, go eat Pop-Tarts, go drive around, look at some stuff, and then take a nap. So the corner's right there, where I saw him last night. If he was coming down this trail we were said it, can't deny it. Could be really good. So I thought I spooked that buck, and who knows if I did or didn't, but he didn't act spooked. He never looked back. He got up to the field, disappeared for a second, came back out, walked down the line, never looked at me or anything, looked back at us or anything. So I saw him jump the fence. He went into the corn. There's a chance that he comes back right there, but there's not a great way to hunt him, especially on a south wind, if he does bed right in there. So not sure what to do other than go look at some other spots and think about it, look at some maps, think about it a little bit, and see if we want to come back and chase him this afternoon or do something different. So for now, let's go get some Pop-Tarts. Are you curious to your footsteps? Alright, so it's showing 91 degrees today. It's a little bit different day than it has been the last couple. It's hot. So we went looking for a little bit of water, trying to find maybe a tank or something like that. But finding something like that on public that's not dried up right now is pretty tough. It's got to be pretty deep or spring fed. So what we're doing is I think we're going to head back to the property we hunted this morning where we saw the buck, and we're going to hope to put some kind of pattern on this deer, a little bit tighter of a pattern. We've got some ideas. I guess you could say we have a pattern, but we really, when you're bow hunting, you have to get real close, and that's what we're trying to do, is put a pattern that we can get 30 yards from him on. So that's the plan. May get kind of aggressive depending on what we can see from particular trees. So all that is just dependent on what we see when we go in there. world he's gonna get it. And luckily, I think it was hitting the side of this hill, turning out that way, because he didn't smell us, and he started to walk back down. He went through the gap like we thought he would. We probably should have ended up staying back a little bit, and we might have got a shot. Honestly, if he'd have come out when it was dark, I think, or darker after sunset, we probably would have got a shot there too. There's so many different ways we could have probably got shots, but we just didn't. But it was a crazy cool encounter. Jack saw him and he was turned the other way. He said, I couldn't tell that. So he tried to tap me. About that time I saw him, and about that time he started taking more steps and coming out. And you know, we're just two big blobs and 2.5 foot high stuff, so it's so close. The game plan worked. It feels good that worked, but it also feels kind of terrible that we're that close and didn't get it done, and we might have to start over on a new property. So we're gonna get back to the drawing board and try to make something happen later on. So we're gonna go back to the hotel, get some food, and look at the maps. If he'll stay in this core area, we stand a chance. We're learning the property, but if he's spooked good enough to leave, then I don't want to stay around too long. You know, give it 24 hours maybe, just depending on what we see in the morning and everything. Because if he gets spooked in this corn, he might go back to the corn he came from last night. That's like studying for a math test for 2 days, 3 days, and just failing it. Just by 1 point. Yeah. The corn's like 7 yards right here, and he was going down the edge, but he eventually came in here and nosed around and smelled forever in this tall stuff. Like he was like 3 or 4 or 5 yards. Check out how close he was.